Hello, everybody. Welcome to Real Talk with Phillip Carter. I am Phillip Carter, and this is my co-host, Alex Brown. How you doing, my friend?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, man, we have an awesome show today.
All right.
We have the Reverend Dr. Keith W. Bird from the Zion Baptist Church in Washington, D.C., and the legendary Winston Chaney.
Okay.
Longest running morning show in America. And we also have your friend who is a mortgage... talk to me about it.
Mortgage expert Steve Twyman.
Yeah. But before we go through all that, we're going to listen to our first song. Our first video is by Professor Wilbur Belton. He is a legend in the D.C. area with this song called Bless His Name. Enjoy.
I
Welcome back to Real Talk with Phillip Carter, and I am here with a great friend of mine who's been a friend of mine for a long time now. He was the youth pastor at the First Baptist Church of North Brentwood under the pastorate of the Reverend Perry A. Smith. I was the minister of music, and we ran a tight show. I mean, a tight ship, not a show, but a tight ship at the First Baptist Church of North Brentwood. And now he has been pastoring 12 years now at the Zion Baptist Church in Washington, D.C. He is a man of great character. So thank you for being on this show. This is the Reverend Dr. Keith W. Bird, Sr.
Sir. Oh, my goodness. You don't make that sound so good.
Oh, man. Look, man, thank you for being on the show.
Absolutely.
How things been going with you?
So far, so good. I cannot complain.
Right. So tell me, let's just dip right into it. You've been pastoring 12 years.
Yes, Lord.
If there was one thing that you could do over again in year one, what would it be?
Whoa, that's a lot. That's a loaded question.
Don't talk about who I don't talk about anything I did.
The Lord's been kind to me. I think I probably would do the same thing, but if there was one thing I would do different, I probably would take a little bit more time. I'm always jumping. I'm impatient. So I probably would have been more gradual in my earlier years. But other than that, the Lord's been good to me.
Okay. Right. And you've been heavily involved in the Progressive National Baptist Convention.
Yes. I'm proud to be progressive.
Tell me about the Progressive National Baptist Convention.
Oh, the Progressive National Baptist Convention has a tremendous history. It is probably the only social justice denominational convention that we have. It's often referred to as the Convention of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Right.
When other conventions, and I won't name them, or the convention kicked out Dr. King for his stand in social justice and his activism, it was the Progressive National Baptist Convention that gave him a denominational home, a platform from which to launch his civil rights endeavors. And so we love it. It is still relevant, still working. Our president, Dr. James C. Perkins out of Detroit, Greater Christ Missionary Baptist Church, has done an excellent job, and Progressive is alive and well.
Well, you just sold me. You're now running for second vice president.
Second vice president of the national body. That election is in August, so pray for me, brother. Pray for it, brother.
You're also involved in the local D.C. Baptist Convention.
And the Baptist
Talk
Convention,
about that.
The Baptist Convention of District of Columbia Vicinity. I serve as vice president at large. Our president is the Reverend Dr. A. Michael Charles Durant of the 10th Street Baptist Church, and we thank God for him and for his leadership. And we are really doing well in the Baptist Convention of D.C. Vicinity. As a matter of fact, we have our citywide revival coming up in May, and so we're excited about that and looking forward to the community at large coming out and worshiping the Lord and getting that power that we need from revival. It always comes right on time.
At revival, huh?
At revival.
Don't worry, I'll be there this year.
Praise the Lord. I know that's right.
How is it dealing with other pastors? I mean, what are some of the challenges of leading other pastors from your perspective?
Well, it's always difficult when you have a whole bunch of leaders in the room. It's like trying to cook a fine dish and everybody is a chef. Everybody has their way of cooking, has their way of seasoning, and has their way of doing things. But we have a common goal as preachers, particularly on the state level. And that common goal is we want to save this community for Christ. And we want to represent the very best that we can as a faith community, not just amongst our Baptist brothers and sisters, but also reaching out to other members of the faith community. And if there was ever a time where we really needed to be together,
that's right.
That time is now, and I don't have to go any further with that.
That's right.
That time is now.
So, preaching. You've been preaching for a long time.
4 minutes.
I try to preach. I mean, I preach to Alex on the phone at least twice a week. Sometimes I come up with some things that make sense.
Yeah, right.
But he's my sounding board. But approaching a sermon. How do you approach a sermon now? And you've been pastoring 12 years. You've been preaching for longer. How do you approach a sermon? How much time does it take for you to put something together?
It takes a while, but I would suggest certainly for me to approach a sermon is first it has to be led. You have to be led and discerning of what the Spirit of God is directing you to do, and particularly when it's attached to a pastor. If I were just visiting or just a preacher without being a pastor, it's just a little bit more generalized. But I believe that God has called me for a specific people at a specific time, and so I have to discern what the Lord would have me to say to this people
for your flock
as we grow them, that they might be better disciples for Christ. And so it takes some time, but it starts. The approach is always, Lord, what will you have me to tell your people And the secret to it I found is, Lord, first, what would you have me to know?
Right.
So once the Lord speaks to me, then the Lord can speak through me.
Okay.
And that makes my preparation that much more, I should say, exciting, passionate for me, to keep me excited each and every week. Because if the word's not hitting me, I can't expect it to hit them.
Right,
and
right.
So that's the approach.
So how often does it happen when you're preparing a word and then the Lord moves and says, not that one?
It happens often enough, because that's when Lord, you don't have to do it no more. But it happens often enough. I was sharing with a preacher just today, and he was talking about he had prepared a sermon and he had done his manuscript and everything, and he went to bed. It was all loaded up. He was ready to go, and the next morning, the Lord gave him something different, and so he had to rewrite and rearrange and do all these things. And I said to him, wait until you get into the pulpit. And the Lord said, I want you to go this direction. That's when it's a challenge.
Wow.
I do believe in preparation, but part of my preparation is being open for whatever the Holy Spirit would guide me to do. And I'm not ashamed to change whenever the Lord tells me to change, because I've tried preaching when I thought it was my best sermon.
So we can't.
And I know
always,
what that looks
we
like.
can't always stick to the script.
Oh no, because the Lord will flip it on you just to see how much you're going to trust Him. Preaching as in living Christian life, as in. And I know this great musicians, when you get out there, you are led by the Spirit. The choir has practiced and prepared, but if the Lord sends you in a direction, as you grow and mature in your gifting, you learn how to trust Him and follow Him in that direction, because that's where the blessing is.
Yeah.
That's where the blessing is.
Are you a serious type of preacher? Like, do you preach serious?
I just started. Matter of fact, I just preached probably my longest series for African American history, my Black History Month last month.
Wakanda.
And,
No.
Forever. Yeah, but I did not preach Wakanda. There might be some copyright infringement on that.
Yeah.
But no, I preached about the resistance. I preached the resistance from Daniel chapter 3, and so I'm getting more into serious preaching.
Okay. There's a lot of people that have a lot to say about the Black church. But in your opinion, what should the Black church be focusing on right now? Of course, we're focusing on saving souls. We're focusing on evangelism, we're growing ministries, but from a social justice perspective, what should we be concentrating on right now, in your opinion?
I think the Black church should get back to what it does, and that is tell the truth. And the truth is what Jesus says is what actually sets people free. And so the Black church has always been a voice of liberation for all people, not just for Black people, but for all people. But we got to start with ourselves first. And the Black church has to once again be unapologetic. We can be pro our people without being anti anybody else.
Right.
And I think now we're in this political correctness where we have to apologize for being the Black church. Now there's all kind of theology, and there's all kinds of scholarship that suggests that the Black church does not necessarily mean it's Black people. What's characteristic of the Black church, beyond just being Black people, is this liberated aspect of the gospel. And that's the truth we have to tell people. And I think one of the reasons why people, and they say younger people, young adults, all the Pew Research says, are kind of leaving the church but remaining spiritual, but just not in part of an organized church. I think it's because they're not hearing the truth when they come.
Right.
They're hearing everything but the truth. The gospel of Jesus Christ is a liberative gospel. How do we practice it, particularly today? What kinds of things do we be doing? How do we keep our money in our community? That's the gospel.
Right.
That's the truth that the Black church used to tell. Because if you can't build your own community, how then do you expect other people to invest in your community? And that's the truth that we used to hear on a consistent basis from our Black church, from our pulpits. I'm not saying we're not hearing it. I'm just saying perhaps we're not hearing it as much as we need to, so that the church automatically, if it's a gospel church, is relevant.
Last serious question.
You hit me hard.
Well, man, you have a wealth of knowledge. I'm just trying to drag it out of you. You pastor a Black church in a city that is being gentrified.
Yes, sir.
Is Zion considering moving?
No.
Why?
Because somebody got to stay.
Somebody got to say.
Zion Baptist Church has been around 153 years, and all 153 of those years have been in the District of Columbia. We see no need to move. As a matter of fact, more than any, we need to be there in the District of Columbia, providing a beacon of light and speaking that truth to power that we talked about. The gentrification, fine, and we can get into all the political and economic impacts of that, but Zion is going to be there. There are overlays of the District of Columbia by the planning folks that do not include many of the churches that are currently in D.C. The interesting thing about it is every one of them that I've seen includes Zion. They better ask somebody.
Come on, bro. I speak on it, bro.
I can see Rodney Till now saying, "Come on now, preach good, Bird."
Yeah.
So listen, man. Let's talk about your family. I know your family, but you talk about them.
I'll talk about them. So I have a wife. I've been married for 24 years.
To the same woman.
Praise God. To the same woman. Alice, we have 2 sons. 123 and 118. Can you believe
something?
that?
My God.
One is at Bowie State. Hopefully he'll graduate in May.
Amen.
And the other one is off to college. And we'll see how that works out. We're trying to make the final selections now, but excited about it. They're growing, man. You remember when they?
Yeah, man.
So they are growing. They are growing.
Yeah.
And a certain person's son over here just whipped us up in football, but that's okay. We won't even talk about that.
Look, we're
supposed to be family. But sometimes, my God,
it gets a little dicey.
Every now and again,
beating up on your children.
It's all right.
I don't want to let this broadcast go without talking about 2 things: sports and your minister music, who is our friend, who is our best friend, Ryan Jones. What impact has he had on Zion?
Oh my God. Well, this is Ryan's second time around with me.
Right.
He was already there under Dr. Thomas. Did a lot of great things and left for a stint. Actually was with Dr. Thomas for a stint. And then once he was freed from North Brentwood, I kind of eased up on him. He told me, "No, I don't know if I want to do it." I said, "Well, just do my children. That's all right. Just do the baby. Do the baby."
Ease him in.
He said, "Oh, okay." Next thing you know, he's the minister of music. So thank you, Lord. That plan worked well. Ryan is probably the most committed, solid, God-fearing musician outside of my friends that I know. I love him. He's like family to me, and he always gives everything 110%.
Right.
And to me, that is it. He loves the Lord.
Okay.
He's not just gigging.
Right.
He goes, and I know I'm going to talk about money, but I could not pay him, and I hope he's not watching. I could not pay him enough. The church couldn't pay him enough for what he does. I know he's saying, but try. But no, you will never be able to match his commitment to the Lord, his commitment to excellence in music of all kinds that he brings to Zion. And if there's any success at Zion under my pastorate, a large part of that is due to his work and his commitment in the music ministry.
That's great. That's great.
I really mean that with all my heart. He knows that.
2 minutes left.
2 minutes. 2 minutes.
You
To a Baptist preacher. That's
You a
whatever.
sports fan.
In the truest sense of the word, I'm a fanatic.
And I'm just
crazy.
going to dive straight into it.
Yeah, I wish
You
would.
are a fan of the Washington football team.
I am.
You're right.
I am, and I'm in a recovery program for that.
So
Man,
listen,
come on, man.
So listen. We have the draft is coming up. Free agency is getting ready to, if it hasn't begun today, it's getting ready to begin.
I think it's,
what is your hope for the Washington Redskins?
Just to field a competitive team at this point. That's my hope.
Yeah.
Well, we got a new quarterback,
Right.
Alex Smith, and some people think it's an upgrade. Some people don't. I'm just glad to get it settled. But unless you put people around him, Alex is not going to do any more than my cousin did, Kirk. But I'm excited about what the future holds for the Washington football team. I tell you one thing it does. It puts a lot of pressure on the coach.
Yeah,
Sure does.
So if you were to look back the last 10 years, what's the biggest mistake you think the Redskins have made?
The biggest, oh my
That's
goodness,
a
they
loaded
made
question.
so mistakes.
But I'm talking about the biggest one. Is there one that stuck out to you? Like, you know what? If y'all hadn't have done that, I think we'd be further than where we are right now.
I think the biggest mistake that the Redskins made in the last 10 years was letting Champ Bailey go.
That was longer than 10 years ago, though, wasn't it?
How long ago was that?
It was longer than 10 years ago.
It was 12 years ago.
That was
it's-
Champ Bailey for Clinton Porter.
It's so fresh.
That was Champ Bailey for Clinton
So
Porter.
Clinton was good, but our defense has not been right since. We haven't had a good defense since. Haynesworth. I mean, I can go on. We can go Haynesworth. We can go Bruce Smith. But you just asked for one, so I'm going to stick to that. But I hope we're trending upwards. I hope we are. Our division again is at the top, as it usually is, with the Philadelphia Eagles, and then the Giants, and then the Redskins, and coming in last place, the Dallas Cowboys.
listen. Thank you for being on the show.
That's when he kicks me off. When I start talking about them boys.
Right there and there.
It is my hope, and I'm saying this on the air, that you could come back and host one of my shows and have the guests of your choice on here, because I think your charisma.
Well, let me ask you a question. How big is the budget? Because I'd like to get a rethink.
That's not going to happen.
I don't know.
She has no respect. R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Y'all, God bless you.
This nigga Aretha will be calling.
Listen, we're going to a video by Brian Spriggs and New Worship entitled "With My Whole Heart." Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you, fellas.
Yes,
Y'all enjoy.
Give a round of applause for the renowned Keith Pringle from Los Angeles, California.
We're going to sing a little song that I know. We're going to record some songs with him. But I've got to tell you. Y'all remember that one? How many folks really love the Lord? Do you really love him? Oh, yes I do. Jesus. Oh, tell you, Lord, how I worship and adore you, Master bless the Lord at all times. And his praises, see, when you're going through something, that's when you should praise him. When you don't have no money, that's when you should praise him. With mine, I will. I've got to bless you, Lord, because you've been so good to me. I'm a witness of that, y'all. Precious Lord. Precious Lord. One more time, Brian. God bless you. Precious Lord, precious Lord. Come on, give God some praise, everybody. Hallelujah. Bless the name of the Lord.
Welcome back to Real Talk. I am the co-host, Alex Brown. That was Brian Spriggs with My Whole Heart. And I'm here for this segment with my guest, Stephen Twyman, who is a mortgage expert. I just want to say, how you doing, Steve?
I'm awesome, wonderfully blessed.
All right, man. Good to see you, man. Good to see you, man. Look, we're going to just jump right into it because we won't have a lot of time for the segment. Can you just give us some background information? How did you get started? And
Absolutely.
What did you do?
I've been in the mortgage business 16 years now. Actually celebrating 16 years this upcoming April.
Okay.
Went through the channels of corporate America. found some passion into what I'm currently doing once it got introduced to me, and it's been a match made in heaven.
Okay.
To be quite frank.
Okay. Can you give us, like, what's a common conception or misconception about the industry?
Well, currently we're in a volatile market. There's a lot going on with our government, so it's creating a little bit of resistance. There's a housing shortage right now, but I just like to encourage everybody. There's never a bad market or a bad time to buy or sell real estate.
Okay.
And there's various different reasons why, based on equity appreciation. Basically, I help individuals create wealth through real estate.
Okay. Yeah, I've always heard I've heard the saying, "With God ain't making no more land."
Right.
So I get that. Yeah. How do you feel about home ownership, and why is it important?
Well, again, going back to what I just stated, equity appreciation, tax write-off, and something that is yours, nobody can take that away from you except yourself if you don't pay that mortgage.
Absolutely. What is equity appreciation?
Equity is where your house starts to appreciate in value.
Okay.
A lot of times it starts actually at the loan application process, or once you actually obtain your house, they may require some form of a down payment. Okay. That down payment is actually instant equity, where that difference or gap, so to speak, from what is actually owed versus what the value is, that's what your equity is.
All right. Okay. Okay. Cool. Speak a little bit on financial literacy.
Financial literacy,
and why
absolutely. Well, again, going back to what I stated, we help you create wealth through real estate. A great example I can use: my first house I purchased, I paid $135,100. Okay. I kept that house for 3 years. I sold it. I netted an extra $100,000. I sold it for $240,000.
Wow.
That same house a year after that sold for $340,000. So if I would have been a little patient, I would have netted an additional $200,000. Okay. Well, where else are you going to create that type of money? You could put money all into your 401ks and all of that, but you're not going to necessarily yield that type of a return in such a short time frame.
Right, because we're actually talking about that's almost instantaneous.
Absolutely.
Whereas with a retirement plan, you might have to wait 10 or 20 or even 30 years to really see or reap the benefit.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. What about credit repair?
Credit repair. Well, not everybody
you do that, right?
I do it all. Okay. I'm a complete service. I like to tag ourselves as we do what the banks do, but we also do what they don't do.
Okay.
Because I'm actually a lender/broker.
Okay.
So we have a lot more flexibility. But with credit repair, basically, you get people, some people just have a couple of hiccups down the road, and we just like to encourage individuals and properly guide them with the proper techniques and strategies. I know the internet kind of gives a lot of different perspectives, so to speak, in regards to what your credit should look like. Okay. But we demystify the myths. We take those myths away, and we actually give you factual data and perspectives so that you can properly manage your credit accordingly.
Okay. All right. Speak to the idea of waiting to jump as it relates to home ownership. So I want to buy a home. I'm hesitant, but I think I'm ready to go, but I keep researching, I keep trying to do this, and I keep trying to do that. And meanwhile, I'm wasting significant amount of time. What would you say a bad advantage or a bad idea about waiting for?
Well, basically the Bible says, to whom much is given, much is required. Okay. All right? So in anything in life that's worth having, you got to go through a little bit of sacrifice.
Right.
All right? And so a lot of times we get a lot of people that are sometimes hesitant, nervous.
Right.
There are a lot of different reasons why, but what I encourage them to do is, no matter what, let's put together a plan. I don't rush you. My thing is, I'm ready when you're ready. I just want to be the guy you come to when you are ready.
Okay.
So putting together the proper real estate plan, knowing where you are credit-wise, knowing where you are based on your current financial situation, then we map out a plan mortgage-wise, how much money you may need, depending on down payment assistance, etc. Okay. We put together a full plan. That plan could be immediate, 2 years from now. Okay. It doesn't matter to me, but when you're ready, I want you to have the information as you need to have it so you can plan accordingly. And putting together the plan is really the key.
Okay, based on your expertise, how long do you say it takes to, to get your credit together?
All right, when it comes
3 months, 6 months, 9 months.
Everybody's situation is different. Okay. And, there are some extremes where you may have some form of a life hardship, whether it was a bankruptcy, and then there's a certain timeline for, depending on what type of bankruptcy, whether it was a 13 or a 7. You may have had a foreclosure, a short sale, or something along those lines. And then that also creates a different identity with which different mortgage program will be available to you. Now, with that being said, there are some relaxed guidelines and some second chance credit opportunities, but there's no really timeline because, I have some people I fixed in a matter of a week.
Wow.
And then I've had some that might be 90 days out, and then some that might be a full year out because it was really extreme.
Okay. Wow. All right. What would you say a standard score is? So if I say, yeah, man, I'm working on I got a 580,
Right.
but
ideally across the board, when things kind of balance itself out, a 640 credit score.
640. Okay.
Excuse me. The more superior credit, 700 plus, naturally it opens up a lot more doors and options for them.
Okay.
But 640 gets it done.
Okay.
But I mean, with that being said, I do a VA loan. I go down to a 560 credit score for a
Okay.
VA client.
Wow.
All right. And on our FHA government loans, which they have a lot more credit flexibility, we go down to a 580 credit score.
Okay. All right. Well, that's I guess that's good news for some people that are veterans and some people that
absolutely.
Okay. All right. So talk about the best time. So I'm thinking, is it the top of the year? Is it the bottom of the year in terms of taxes, in terms of benefits?
Well, every real estate climate gives a different environment.
Okay.
And right now, again, we kind of in a volatile market, as I stated earlier. Housing inventory is fairly low. So, you know, we have a lot of clients that are coming in trying to get approved, but now they're having a hard time finding houses. But we think that in the springtime, traditionally, this is my most busiest period.
Okay.
Things will open up, and generally, you know, coming off the winter weather, people are more excited about the opportunities, and you start to see a lot more houses come out on inventory, and it's we have some of our best record-breaking years, starting off early spring. Like now, all the way through August, it's incredible.
Okay, all right. And let me give you one other hypothetical situation. Let's just say I want to become a part of a real estate investment group. Can you speak to that? Like what?
I'm a powerhouse when it comes to working with real estate investors.
Okay.
We also do commercial as well, which also incorporates, you know, that investment component.
Okay.
But we have a lot of flexibility in regards to, we do a lot of rehab lending.
Okay.
We do a lot of what we call fix and flip opportunities,
Okay.
as well as expanding, you know, into commercial.
When you say, hold that thought, but when you say fix and flip, what does that mean?
That's actually where you go buy a house below market value.
Okay.
You do some cosmetic or rehab work. And then after that's done, we establish what the after repair value is, and then that creates that equity position that we talked about earlier.
Okay.
And then, so for a really good example, if you will, I have a client, he spent $300,000 on a house, put $150 in it, sold it for $800,000.
Wow. Okay.
And that's in DC. That's a DC market.
Okay, man.
Yeah, but there's a lot of opportunities out there that exist for those who want to be aggressive real estate investors.
Okay. All right. So last few minutes, and I've been knowing you a long time. We went to high school together.
Absolutely.
Sports fan?
Redskins, all DC, everything.
Okay.
All
so,
DC.
So I mean, are you just, you know, I know you're a home team guy. Is that what I'm gathering?
Absolutely.
Home team. Okay.
I have season tickets for the Wizards and the Redskins, and I have dream seats for the Redskins.
Yeah,
That's how serious I am about it.
Yeah, my co-host, he's a different kind of breed. But
We understand. We know.
He liked the girls, you know.
But we let them have it.
It's okay. It's all right. Well, Steve, thank you so much,
Thank
man,
you.
for coming on in, man. We appreciate the information that you've given to us, and hopefully our listeners will be able to do something with it.
Absolutely.
And we'll hope to have you back as an expert.
Just say when.
All right.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Next song we'll be coming to you again. My name is Alex Brown, and our next song we're coming to you is by Phillip Carter, "Rejoice."
Our God is excellent. Come on, give him an excellent praise tonight. Oh Lord, how excellent is thy name. Oh Lord, how excellent is thy name. Come on, you lift it up. Heavens declare thy glory. Lord, the heavens. Lord, the heavens. Oh Lord, how excellent. Put your hands together tonight if you know he's excellent. Oh Lord, how excellent is say the Lord is great. Hallelujah, and greatly to be praised. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Come on and rejoice in the Lord tonight. Hey, Come on, get with it. Let the heavens rejoice. Ah, yeah, 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 yeah. Be glad. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Let the heavens rejoice. I can't help but rejoice in the Lord. Come on, celebrate him. Rejoice. Great is our God tonight. Rejoice. Ah, yeah, 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 yeah. Rejoice and be glad. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Rejoice. Rejoice. He's an awesome God. He's worthy of praise. We declare your glory. We declare your greatness. We declare you're awesome. Rejoice. There's no one like you. There is none like you. Rejoice. God, you're wonderful. You're marvelous. Yes, you are. Rejoice. Rejoice. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Rejoice. Rejoice. Hallelujah.
Welcome back to Real Talk, and I am here with the legendary Winston Chaney. From WYCB 1340. Oh my gosh, WYC Radio 1, 1340 AM. I'm going back to WYCB days.
Oh, boy.
And we're going to talk about that. But it's a pleasure to have you.
Man, it's my pleasure being here.
I've been trying to make this happen for 2 weeks, I'm really excited about you being on this show today because you are one of the staples in this area and across the country because you have the longest running morning show in America.
Who would ever thought?
Can't nobody else say that but you.
Nobody, and believe it or not, I've got more hours in the morning in D.C. than anybody in history.
Is that right?
Than anybody. Donnie Simpson was all 5.5 years, so that takes away from his time. I got more hours in the morning than anybody in D.C. history.
Wow.
My goodness. And look, and your beard is still looking good.
Well, it's a black product.
Blow that bitch.
It's called Soft Sheen by Carl.
Well, so look, I know a little bit about how you got started, but tell us all how you got started.
I was in Richmond, Virginia. A station called WKIE. I just found out that they went FM not long ago in Richmond.
Wow.
And I was calling request line one day, talked to a guy named Doc Holliday.
Yeah.
Doc Holliday. And I said, Doc, teach me broadcasting. Oh, he said, okay. Just like that. See, these days it won't happen like that. He said, okay, daytime station. He said, we go off at sundown. Come over here in the evening. I teach you everything you taught me in broadcast school.
Just like that.
Just like that. Wow. I started going over every day. And before I knew it, I started reading announcements, doing commercials, and doing some part-time stuff. Now, he left the station and turned me over to the boss, a guy named J.D. Jackson from D.C. He kept me until I moved to D.C.
Wow.
And then, coming to D.C., anybody from Tidewater?
No.
A station in Tidewater called WOWI in Norfolk.
Okay.
The first voice of WO, we call it YW, a guy named Frank Hollis. He was there one day. He said, Winston, when you go to D.C., there's a station I want you to try. It's a new station that's getting a lot of press. It's called WYCB, it's a new AM station. It's gospel. He said, give them a tape. I said, I will, okay. So I came to DC, and I gave WOL tape, Moon Man,
I remember that.
and I gave WYCB a tape. Moon Man called me for an interview. He said, listen, I want you to do my Sunday afternoon for me. He said, I want you to jam the people on Sunday afternoon like 3 to 9 when they're out in the car riding through the park. They're all yours. YCB offered me 2 days a week.
Wow.
What did I take?
2 days a week.
There you go.
There you go.
And been there, well, I would say I've been there ever since, but I did leave one time.
Really?
There's a story behind that. I was doing part-time at YCB, and my buddy Dwight Langley at OK100. He said, Winston, you want to try, I got a spot open over here at OK100. You want to try it? I said, sure. And he said, okay, as of right now, you're hired. So YCB, he said, I'm going to LA for 2 weeks. When I get back, you're on the air, on the FM. Had never been on FM before in my life. Got back, YCB had a party for me, a little going away party. And Mitch Clark, the program director, you probably remember Mitch Clark. He said, listen, if it doesn't work out, you can come back. It's a message to all the young folks, never burn your bridges.
Burn those bridges.
Don't burn your bridges. I got on the subway and rode over to OK100 that day, right on First Street, Northeast DC. Got over there, believe it or not, this is gonna kill you. He came downstairs and said, Winston, they just fired me.
Wow.
Wow.
When they fired him,
They fired you.
they didn't know who I was. Know what I did?
What?
Got back on the train, went back to YCB. I said, look, I'm back.
Just like
He said,
this.
like
just
that.
the same day.
So
And-
you quit and got rehired the
same day.
Okay.
And I've been on the air ever since. And got the morning show and been there ever since.
And it'll probably never happen again.
Not like that, it won't.
Nope.
Wow.
So there's a few stories I've got, about my hiring and my longevity at YCB.
Yeah, and a lot of people, I grew up, I'm 43, so I remember you a little bit behind the drums.
A little bit.
People don't know Winston Chaney can play a little drum set.
Well, see, I played drums in Danville. I learned to play in Danville from the guy who gave me my inspiration in radio at his house. My
Really?
my pastor's son, who is now also a pastor. He had a drum set, and I just go to his house and play drums. And he took me to the station one day and gave my inspiration to get in radio.
Wow.
Yeah, sure did.
I remember seeing Great Amount Carry every now and then. You would get on there. I'm like, that's Winston Chaney.
Play for the male chorus.
Really?
Yeah, play for the male chorus. But I grew up playing concert trumpet.
Okay.
Concert trumpet.
Wow.
Yeah, I read everything.
All right.
Is that right?
Let's say I read.
You read?
When last time you picked it
Hadn't
up?
played it. High school.
Okay. 15, 20 years ago.
Oh man, I wish.
So you went from Danville to Richmond.
Danville to Statesville, North Carolina.
Right. Okay.
Junior college.
Okay.
From junior college to VCU in Richmond.
Okay.
And then from Richmond to DC.
Wow.
Came here in 1980. Got the job at YCB soon. About a month later, I got here.
Okay.
My first day on the job was with Peter Green.
Is that
Peter
right?
Green.
My first day. I got some stories to tell you about being part-time. Good stories.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, a lot of stories, man. People we interviewed, people I met. I walked in one day. The first star I met, I walked in the station one night. Peter Green was sitting in the studio. He and Jared Butler. I said, that's Jared Butler. His first guy, first big star I met.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, met a lot of people.
Wildest interview you've ever had?
Wildest hosted or being interviewed?
I would say hosted.
Hosting, haven't had many.
Good.
Because when people come to radio stations, especially artists, they on their best behavior.
Right.
But they know we play their music.
Right.
Now I've had some good ones. I had Diddy. Here's a story that you guys don't know about. I turned down Jay-Z.
Wow.
See, Russ Paul was across the hall from me, so everybody came to the Russ Paul show. They were offered to me. But Diddy being a mogul in the movies and TV, I took Diddy. And what you guys better know is that Diddy has a gospel CD he never released.
Is that right?
Still in the can right now. He's a Winston Not Time yet.
I bet you it's coming out now after Snoop Dogg.
Probably.
I saw that.
So when they had Jay-Z over there one day, I went and met him. He said, Winston, you want him? I said, I got no reason to take him because he's a gangster rapper.
Right.
No reason to take him, so I didn't. So
That's wild.
That's my story with Jay-Z. I turned down an interview with Jay-Z.
Wow. well, I mean, he's
Not many people gonna say that.
Yeah.
And it also says everybody needs the press. I mean, you know, everybody trying to get on the radio.
right.
It's an equal. I mean,
That's right.
They brought me Ice Cube. They brought me Kerry Washington. They brought me Stephanie Mills, Brian McKnight. They brought me everybody that came over there to the Russ Parr show. They brought it to me.
Who's the most talented disc jockey you've ever worked with?
The most talented. I like Don Miller.
Yeah, I remember
Don
him.
Miller was talented, boy. When you're talking about talent, you're talking about reading and ad-libbing. Don could make it. Mitch Clark was a great one. But when you talk about the R&B side, it's hard to beat Olivia Fox.
Really?
Olivia Fox could take this commercial, cold, walk in, read it, sit down, walk out.
Is that right? Just like that?
One second.
I mean, one take. Olivia Fox, April Watts, and very few can do that. You know, reading not as easy as you think it is.
Right.
It's kind of hard when you put in front of the microphone. You guys know you're in microphone in front of the microphone all the time.
We try.
Man, look
Yeah, they give you a
phonics.
See, they give me a spot. I'll do two lines or a paragraph and put it together. These guys walk in.
And walk out.
I think in my whole career, I've done one spot in one take, a 6-second spot. Just one. All mine be in pieces.
Wow. Let's talk about indie artists in the Washington D.C. and abroad. And you came to my conference last year. And we had in-depth discussion. But in your mind, what does an independent artist need right now to survive?
You know, they've got what it takes. The people on the inside are the ones that give them trouble. You know, I think a lot of artists should be played. And if I had my own show, I would play them. But you know, of course, my hands are tied being with a big conglomerate like Radio One. They've got it. I've got a segment on my show called Artists of the Week. I get to play them. I had you on the show. I get to play. I play artists and play the music that other folks don't get to hear. And people love them. I mean, I get a lot of feedback from the artists, man. They said, "I love that music. Why can't I hear it?" I said, "But like, my hands are tied. I can't play it."
And that's something.
Well, a lot of stations across the country, you know, that's the thing about having, you know, all these big conglomerate radio, these syndicated networks, they're controlled by one or two people,
Right.
and it kind of took the power out of the individual DJ's hand. You know, you feel something, you feel a move on, you know, on a, you know, and shoot, that's what happened to me. I love the Lord.
Yeah. Oh,
It was because of small stations picking it up across the country that made it big. And then when I got to a certain chart position, that's when some of the bigger conglomerates started pick it up.
See, what one station does not want to do is have another station playing a hit and they're not playing it.
Right. They don't want that.
They don't want that.
Yeah, of course.
But why is it so always about the bandwagon? So now, you know, we can't do that. You don't want to be the person to break me, but as soon as somebody else does, now you want to jump on the bandwagon.
Jump right on the bandwagon. And see, what you got to remember now, the sound of a station is the thinking of one person, program director, one person.
That's profound, and you know a lot of us don't know that. You know, we complain and we I look at you and tell you, Winston, I'm so mad with you. You're not playing my record.
We get this.
You looking at me like this, so you know I'm, bruh.
My hands are tied.
Yeah,
I can't do it.
And most people's hands are tied. You know, that's kind of the way radio is right now.
Unless you're Don Simpson and Tom Joyner,
Right.
They write in a contract like play what I want to play. You know, if I get to that point one day, it's on.
Talk about Lucille Banks Robinson Miller. You worked with her for a while, didn't you?
She was a legend, man. I'm telling you, she was bigger than people think she was. I mean, she was huge and talented. She was on the air for a long time. I think she was like the second black on DC radio, the second black person on DC radio history.
Wow.
I thought she was the first, but Jerome says Jerome Bell. You guys know Jerome Bell. He told me she was the second one. I don't know who the first was, but she was definitely a legend. She could read real well.
Right.
Although people would pay her to do live reads on her show.
Wow.
Pay her, and she would read them. She would read them for 2 minutes instead of 1 minute. Take a 1 minute commercial and make 2 minutes out of it, or 3 minutes. You know, you got your money worth and some more.
Okay.
Did you start the radio choir?
No, I did not.
How'd that get started?
Well, when I got here, it was already started. See,
Okay.
the recording came out 2 years before I came in town. The album came out in '78.
Right.
I came to town in '80,
Right.
and still some good songs on that album.
To this day.
Yeah,
I'd like to resurrect that. I mean, really, because there's a lot of historic stuff in this city that I feel like is getting lost in terms of gospel. BLNS.
Oh yeah, yeah, boy.
The radio choir, and then there was some other choir that Myrna was involved in. I can't think of what it was. I remember when Dealey Owens put out
Sure did.
projects back in the
Got
day.
played too.
Yeah,
Got
and I
played.
was a little kid then, but I was my antennas were rolling.
Right.
I heard all that stuff, and a lot of people really don't know about all those records.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I've been credited with keeping the quartet going
Absolutely.
since the death of Flip Forrest and Cal Hackett. After them, no one played quartet. So I kept them going. The Heavenly Sons and the Southern, these guys in town. I played a lot of those for the first time.
Okay.
And still today, they thank me for playing, keeping the quartet alive.
Yeah, man, and it's a lot of talented quartets in this area.
I mean, a lot of. This is a quartet area, boy.
Yeah, we love it.
Everybody from the South,
we
moved
get
to
dressed
DC,
up,
they love quartet.
And that music not going away.
It's not,
And look, and they support their own. They'll pay $25, $30 to come to
They
an
will.
event.
Yeah, they will.
And go pay for the meal in the back room.
The chicken.
If you go to a quartet concert, there will be a meal next door. They love to eat.
Who are some of the most, well, I should say most talented, but who are some of the talented artists in this area, that kind of move you right now?
Well, of course, Smallwood and Anthony Brown, those guys doing a phenomenal job. Some of the young guys I'm interviewing doing the artist spotlight. Got some real good stuff, man. Trey Howard, Chester Burt, Ron Nelia. Of course, some of your music, just great music. I can go on and on with there's a lot of music that I can't play until I interview them. Isaiah Thomas, Seven Sons of Soul, Cliff Jones. These guys got great music, man. Great music.
Talk about your family.
Family. Mom's still living. Mom
Wow.
is 86. Yeah.
Is that right?
Mom's still living. Dad passed away years ago in the 80s. Got a big brother and two younger sisters. I got a daughter who lives here with two beautiful granddaughters.
Is that right?
And been married for a long time, 28 years now.
Been married 28 years?
28 or 29. One of the two.
We're live on TV, Winston. I need you to figure it out.
You right now. You right. Trying to look here.
He's 29 in August.
You 29 in August. Wow, that's a blessing, man. Anything that the audience, people who know you, don't know about you?
They may not know that I grew up with a stuttering problem, and I still do. Still got it. I think people say you talk fast. I think my mind think of the words before I even say them, so I'm trying to catch up.
And you think we don't know you have a stuttering problem?
Right.
Because I have one. So yeah, absolutely.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do.
I would
really do.
thought that.
I couldn't
And
tell.
he's that's my best friend. He know I got a stuttering problem.
Well, see-
I call him on the phone. Sometimes it take me 5 minutes to say one word.
But see what happened. Look, here's what happened. When I got my first deal on the morning show, we had our boss was involved, the owner of the station. So first day, I talk fast, and I got on the air and said, WYCB 1340 AM. Those were the mighty clouds of joy. Close the microphone up. Hotline rings. Cheney, I didn't pay you to talk slow. I paid you to talk fast. He said, you put me to sleep. From that point on, I've been being myself.
Wow.
Yeah, being myself.
Isn't that something?
Yep.
You probably somebody people say, well, why him and why not this other person?
Right.
God ordained you to do it.
Yeah, he did.
Just
yeah,
be
yeah,
you.
Yeah.
That's
Be me.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
And you were inspiration to me.
Thank you. I appreciate
Because
that.
talking to you, I had to talk slow today to make sure I
And yes, we'll talk about that earlier. It's a whole
had to
nother
get myself
conversation.
together. But you are definitely an inspiration. You've hosted programs for people. You've done so many things for so many people in this area.
I tried.
I just want to say thank you on behalf of all the artists in this area, and the people. I'm not sure some people you've done a lot of free things for people.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's just been I just pray God just continue to bless you and keep
Man, I
you on
appreciate
the
it.
air
I appreciate
for as long as you want to be on the air.
I've been blessed to have done. I did WKYS Sunday morning for like 8 weeks.
Okay.
I was pulled off of that for Coker Brother when syndication. Then of course I got on Praise. So I'm using on Praise every now and then. So I've done 3 stations in the same building at different times.
They just got you running, got you
Yeah,
working.
But you
but
still
it's
there.
all good, and all 3 have different audience. So
right.
which is expand my audience.
Wow.
Now you have Ronette over there too, right?
Ronette Harrison, yeah. As a matter of fact, I trained her.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, I pretty much instrumental in
Does she
training
talk
her
fast
role.
too?
No, she doesn't.
Okay,
She's just gifted in speaking.
Making sure.
Really?
So, yeah,
You doing good?
Yeah, real
Good,
yeah.
good. Congratulations, Ron. We gave you a shout out.
Yeah, right. That's my girl.
Look, man, thank you so much for being on the show.
Man, my pleasure.
Really
my
appreciate
pleasure.
you. You have been, of course, you're a friend of mine.
Yes,
You've
sir.
been a great supporter. And every time we call you, if you can make it, you show up.
I try.
Which is, that's rare.
So
That's rare.
I don't take it for granted.
Amen.
I don't take it for granted.
We really appreciate you. Listen, y'all, that almost wraps up our show. I want to remind you all that we have the musicians meetup coming up on April the 1st, April the 2nd, Easter Monday at the Scripture Cathedral. Musicians meetup and band shed. Come fellowship with musicians and singers and pastors from all across this area. Brother Doobie Powell and band is coming down. Trina Treen, Mo
Those
Horn,
tickets.
Aaron Spears. It's a rack of musicians coming together. We're gonna have a huge jam session that's gonna last about 4.5 hours long. It's gonna be unbelievable. Go to www.bygospel.com to get your tickets. It's so much going on. Our ministry has just been so blessed. We have Bring Back the Choir New Music Forum coming in April the 29th, where we link up local songwriters with singers and choir directors so we can have fresh music from our own people. And some people come from across the country now, as far away as Connecticut, to our forum. So you can go on bringbackthechoir.com and register for that. We have the IGAA Conference, Indie Gospel Alliance Conference. Any independent that wants to come to learn the business of music, people like Winston Cheney and other professionals from all across this country come in to teach indies how to navigate business and ministry together with integrity. And so you don't want to miss that. July the 12th through the 14th, coming up at the Queen's Chapel, United Methodist Church. And there's so much more, but we'll tell you more about it next week. Thank you for tuning in to Real Talk with Phillip Carter. We're getting ready to go. I want to tell you, there's no problem that God cannot solve in your life if you let him. God bless you and have a great week.
For more information on how to become a guest on Real Talk with Phillip Carter, or for general inquiries, please email us at realtalkwithphillipcarter@yahoo.com. Tune in next Monday for another edition of Real Talk with Phillip Carter.